Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two and a Half Salesmen. I'm your host Mario, together with my phenomenal-looking host Giulio, who for some reason is just getting younger. Last time he and I talked, he was like 30. Now he's 21. He's entered some kind of beauty/strength competition. Won the Mr. of Universe. Giulio, what are you eating?
You don't want to know. You don't want to know. Do you know Brian Johnson?
Yeah.
I've literally switched to his diet today.
Ooh, well, I can see that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest today, my good friend Noam. Noam has been in sales for a long time. He's both a sales coach, sales mentor, and a VC. And Noam, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Well, we'll see if you thank us at the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I'll be very quiet.
The reason why we have Noam is Noam and I, for the past year.
I think, yeah, maybe more.
Maybe a little more, but around a year, we were working on a book that we just finished and published. It is available on Amazon, and
it's a children book, right?
Yes. It's a book about what most of the, I would say, sales trainers, at least the ones that are worth their salt, and sales leaders think that is the most underrated part of the entire sales process, and that is the discovery call. So basically, Noam and I took, and we wrote an entire book on just the discovery call.
Nice.
So you can click on the link that is in the description. We'll take you to Amazon, and you can order the book and support us. So today's topic is the discovery call.
The discovery call, yeah.
Yeah. So Noam, I'll let you open it with a little bit of intro and a little bit of just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's just dive straight into the topic.
Okay, so this is the part I'm telling that I'm an ex-alcoholic, a convicted felon. I don't know. This
Noam.
That's not this podcast. My mistake.
That's another one. That's tomorrow, Noam.
That's tomorrow. Cut it. Okay, so first of all, Julio, and Mario, thanks for having me on this call. I think that pretty much I think this topic that's called discovery call, it's indeed underrated. Okay, but it's also a topic that a lot of salespeople are simply. Would it be okay, Mario, if I'll say they're afraid of it?
Yeah.
We salesmen. I think that for years I was afraid of discovery calls. By the way, I was afraid of this part in the conversation where I need to do a little bit of something to understand what the customer needs. Okay, and a discovery call is much more than just understanding what the customer needs.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy, Mario, you took this, amazing challenge of starting, taking everything we know and put it on a book.
Yeah.
It was an amazing experience, but a very hard one.
Yeah. It did prove to be harder than I anticipated. Unfortunately, I didn't track hours, but I would estimate easily between 400 and 500 hours.
Wow. Yeah. I think, I didn't track hours as well, but I think it's at least, if not more. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now. Right. So I'll take the questions on then. So I actually, I would totally agree that especially with more like, let's say, really transactional sales, maybe discovery call is not as important because it's really like, is it gonna sell or not? I mean, depending on the deal value, right? If it's really simple, then sometimes you don't need such in depth. But I would say the higher the value, the more the saying deals are won and lost in discovery calls, I think it becomes real. So what would you say is the top 3 mistakes that you consistently see happening in discovery calls?
I can start with the first one. We don't listen. We salespeople, we simply don't listen. Or, if we listen to reply rather than to listen to understand. And I think that's maybe the first mistake that we did, possibly the biggest one. And you know something, I think this also creates a chain of other mistakes coming along the way. Okay, so mistakes you do in minute 1 and 20 seconds is it's actually a consequence of a mistake you did in the first 10 seconds of inside the call. And again, I'm not talking about how do you go for the first 4 seconds, how you get the guy interested or the lady interested, what you're gonna offer, is it coming from a lead, a hot lead? I'm taking this part out of the equation, at least in the first part of our discussion. The first mistake, I would say, we don't listen. We really don't pay attention to signals, to things they say.
I would also argue that's probably why there's so much fear around discovery calls, right? Because I'm the first one I really need to concentrate to listen hard because I just love talking, and so yeah, I think this probably was my hardest thing to do, is just figuring out I need to shut the hell up.
Yes, and it goes back to how salespeople are onboarded. The first thing you do is you learn about the product itself. Product. And then salespeople are comfortable talking about the product, about the product, right? I am yet to see a company that onboards their salespeople first on the problem and just talk about the problem. So whenever I onboard salespeople, I just have them do client success. First 2 weeks, you are in the client success department. If you're an SDR, if you're an account executive, if you're VP sales, I don't give a crap. You're doing client success just to listen to what the customers are actually saying and
That's
how
smart.
they view
I like that.
whatever crap you're selling.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
I would even dare to say maybe that's the second problem, is that we don't understand the customer world. We don't understand the customer world. So for the sake of the argument, let's say that I'm a salesperson, an SDR, whatever. I have a salesperson. I'm conducting my own discovery calls at the moment, and I'm calling a customer. And my product is a multidisciplinary product. That means that it can address, I don't know, industry A, industry B, and industry C. I know car industry, whatever, railway, and whatever. And if I don't understand the ecosystem of where my customer is actually living and experiencing, I tend to do what Mario just said. Let's talk about something I know, and that's the product. So if I'm taking, I'm building on what Mario said, I'm talking about the product, but I'm talking about the product because I have no idea what to talk about. So I'm shooting, and maybe that's the third part, I'm shooting feature functions, and I'm hoping that my customer will somewhat make the connection.
Yeah, you throw shit at the wall and hope some of it sticks.
Something will stick, and then I can go on to my next question, and again, don't listen and whatever. So as I said, it's like a series of mistakes, silly ones, but mistakes.
Yeah. And one of the things that Noam and I talk in a book, and we can address this, is how you run discovery is largely dependent on several factors. One of them being the sales cycle itself, so the length of the sales cycle. Second being the price of the product itself. So the higher the price, the more discoveries you need to do. So in enterprise sales, we call this multi-threading, right? And then it really depends on what are the things you need to discover with each of the stakeholders that are in the... And this topic is now more relevant than ever, simply because all the latest studies show that even with the deals that are below 100K per annum, CFO gets involved, which kind of wasn't the case pre-COVID.
I think it's generally the case whenever there's a crisis, right? The CFOs and the financials become so much more important. And are we in a crisis? Are we not in a crisis? God knows. Like, you read 5 different newspapers, 5 different opinions about it, right? But definitely, obviously, dealing with the costs and dealing with CFOs, I think is probably one of the least favorite activities of any salesperson. generally.
Because they don't know how to talk to them. Because they, as Noam said, they don't understand their world. You talk with the CEO in one way, you talk with the CFO in another, with head of sales, third way, head of marketing, head of product, whatever.
Head of service, whatever, yeah. But this is amazing, guys. You know, it's sometimes people, you know, salespeople, we tend to forget that. And again, we tend to forget that because I think that for many, many years, I've made the same mistakes over and over again, not realizing that the reason for losing a sale was me trying to avoid doing something which I'm not comfortable with, but I'm creating a lot of problems along the way. Maybe you can, you know, you guys can, you know, Mario, for sure you can relate to that. You can really relate to that with your, obviously with your customers today and, you know, with your past history. But I tend to think of it this way. And I just got off a call right now, which is a potential customer of mine. And I started making a discovery call. Now, my colleague said, why are you making a discovery call? We already talked to them 3 times. But here in that call was the head of service. So I need to do again a partially, but a very sophisticated discovery call, because the discovery call is not only understanding, you know, what are the problems is from my point of view, for our point of view, the book's point of view, it's the best way of conveying, hey guys, I'm the solution to your problem, or my product is the solution to your problem. That's the best way to do it. And a lot of salespeople think it's just for the sake of information. I got the information, no need for another discovery call. Bang.
No.
Big mistake.
No. The goal is to get. So I'm a huge fan of Sandler. So whenever I talk with someone, especially multi-threading, I always go, okay, what is your surface problem? What are the business implications? And then what is your personal problem, right? So I always try to, even when you, sure, C-level, fine. But then mid-management, even procurement.
Yeah.
All right, like, what do you want to achieve with this? What are you trying to get out of it? Like, why would you entertain the idea of getting this solution? It's not because my head of sales or my CEO that told me, go talk to these guys. I need you, I need to understand what is your objective and what you want to achieve in order to further it down. And that's how you get to very high close rates, right? Because you actually understand what is happening in the entirety of the customer's world. Not just segments.
And you also get rid of the stuff early on that doesn't need to go to like a later stage, right? Because that's one of the good things about a discovery call that's properly done, is that you don't keep pushing crap down the funnel, which shouldn't be there.
100%. Well, there are 2 ways, and I know Noam is a master of the second way, and I actually picked this up from him when we worked a few years back. It is the goal of the discovery is to disqualify the client.
Yes. Yes.
Sandler would be proud.
We should put it as a slogan, Mario.
Oh yeah,
I can put this on my car.
On the bumper sticker.
If you can read this, you're too close, man.
If you can read this, you didn't do a proper discovery
call.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question which I think that especially the more junior, the struggling salespeople will have in mind, which is a question that I ask myself as well. You know, like, I think a lot of people struggle on discovery calls because they feel like they're asking too many questions, right? Yes. And then they just start becoming. I've been certain times, you know, and I don't necessarily like the idea of reversing all the questions, right? Because that can become quite frustrating, especially if you're not really good at doing it. So what would be some tips? Let's say I'm jumping discovery call. You know, I got a few questions written down, but sometimes you feel it that you've asked the question and the client is like, well, okay, I want to hear some more about you, right? So what would be some tips in this case? Or maybe I'm not understanding it at all.
No, you're spot on, Julio, on this one. First of all, every client that I encounter is asking me, you know, when I'm taking a customer on board, if I'm taking a group of SDRs, global SDRs, and then now, you know, the first question that pops is, how many questions is a good number? Okay, and you
It's
know,
a terrible question already, right?
yeah, but
we answered this question in the book. It's 9.
Okay. So you have a
No, it's
precise
not.
number.
No, it's not.
no, it's not. No, it's not.
I was like, that's weird. Okay.
No. We're not. By the way, every time I've been asked this question, what I do is I'm telling the person, the individual, listen, go out from this meeting room, go directly to HR,
And quit.
terminate your contract, and leave sales. Go to something else because this is a really silly question. And usually the individual is like something.
Shit. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna do that as well.
Do it. It's the faces, the bulb eyes you get is amazing. But honest to God, I think that first of all, there's no number. I have a track record of I think 100 questions over a meeting, a face-to-face meeting, 100 questions.
You really ask 100 questions?
100 questions, and listen, I cannot say the name of the customer. I went with a young salesperson I was actually coaching for my own company, for my own services, and I said, listen, he said, I can't ask you many questions. I said, I'll show you that we have a 1-hour meeting. I'll ask 100 questions, count the number. I will never say anything about our company, and we'll get the job. And we did.
Nice.
Now,
Nice.
the guy on the other side was sitting next to the owner of the company, and the owner starts smiling halfway through the meeting when he said, could you tell me about yourself? Yeah, we'll do that in a second, but I got a couple more questions. And another question. At the end, he said, he said to his person, I want you to know, to master what he just did. You got a contract, start working, and I want you guys to know how to ask questions bluntly. So if I can say about the number, it's not about the number. It's about the attitude, the bluntness. How ferocious are you with moving your customer out of their comfort zone? If you need more questions, ask more questions.
Yes, getting the deeper issues on the surface so that they are visible. I've seen, and I've done discoveries with 3 questions. Bam, 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 and everything just flows out.
Amazing.
Yeah. But I sometimes did with 20 or 30, 40, and I just can't. I am doing such a shitty job that I can't get the customer to open up and to put out what is really bothering him on the surface.
And I would I mean, to be fair, with these two statements, you already piqued my curiosity enough to probably buy the book. Because I am not particularly good at discoveries. I think I have I can get meetings quite easily, but then I do tend to talk too much, I think. So this is very interesting what you're mentioning. And I do think if you can run good discoveries, you will be better at cold calling. It's just pure and simple. And vice versa, I think. I think if you're really good at cold calling and asking questions, you generally will be already more comfortable in discovery call. I would say
it's for me, and Noam you can comment, of course, but for me it's just that genuine curiosity, like what the hell is happening with you, right? Like we are on a call, either you pick up the phone or you join me in this meeting. Why? Like, why are we talking? Like the kid that it has 6, 7, 8-year-old kid that is constantly being curious about the world. And this is how I approach it. So Noam, before I let you answer this, right? So let me just give you one cool technique that you can use. This is what works for me. I don't know how Giulio and Noam you can comment, but what I do is I create a mental whiteboard, like somewhere here, and then it's whenever I begin a call, it's blank. I know everything about the company. I know the trigger events. I know all of that, but I trained myself to when I ask the questions, I kind of mentally write the answer, so that my biases, and I have plenty of them, like everyone else, don't interfere with me actually trying to get to the bottom of what is happening.
Okay.
So that's kind of one technique that.
I think it's a very good one. I think that the main problem, if we got to a situation in which we are, as salespeople, understand that the discovery phase shouldn't be rushed, and we are able to sustain that, then I believe that what you just presented is the best technique. So you understand everything about the client from whatever, LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, website,
whatever PR they've put out.
Yeah, you got this. You got the information. You got some. You made some questions about who's the person you're talking with. Everything is, as I said, raw data. But the main question, or the big question, is why? Why the hell are you talking to me? Why the hell are you even, as you said, entertaining yourself with whatever a solution to the why? And if you're coming with a black, as you said, like a blackboard somewhere here, this is awesome, because then you're open to whatever comes, and then you write it down and start making sense.
Yeah, it actually comes from the coaching that both Julia and I went through, the art and science of coaching. So when you enter the coaching session, this is the Erickson technique, right? So when you enter a coaching conversation, you always begin with a blank page with a client, right? So I just imagine a whiteboard completely empty, and then kind of mentally writing stuff.
And this is powerful. This is very powerful.
Okay. Look, obviously I'm trying, this is turning to me trying to milk you guys for information on discovery calls, right?
Of course. That's why we're here. Apart from all three of us looking phenomenal.
So can I ask you, Mario, what is it with your obsession with like good-looking men? I think is there something you got to tell me?
I am trying to practice my feminine side. That's what my wife said I have to do.
Right.
Is it working? How is it working for you?
Well, let's not maybe get into that right now. We can. I think we can leave this.
Yeah. Why not?
But let me ask you this.
Yeah. So what my
Julie's having
Julia's mic is experiencing some trouble.
One of the cool things that you and I did, and I really like that, is in the book, is the matrix.
Yeah.
Right. So let's, if it's okay with you, let's maybe talk a little bit about it. What is the matrix for the discovery call, and why did we come up? Why did you come up with that?
So I think that maybe I can give the 30,000 feet notion of why we do this, and Mario, help me dive into this.
Yeah.
I've been asked a lot of times, is sales an art? Is sales something you're born with, or is sales something that you can replicate? And again, I'm an engineer by origin, so that means that I've learned formulas, and everything is very, very formulated, systemized. So from my point of view, a discovery call is the entire world of sales, but discovery call in particular, approach it in an engineered way. So the purpose of the matrix is help you see, it's not about you flipping questions, understanding what the customer wants and needs and so on. No, approach it in a very methodological way. By the way, the entire book is loads and loads of methodologies that we developed, picked up along the way, proudly stole, you can say, come up with our own version of it, and then we come up in one book saying, approach it in a very engineered way. So the matrix is the purpose. Mario, take this, further deeper inside of it.
So whenever I did either coaching or I did workshops and stuff like that, one of the questions has come up, said, should I do a demo in the same call as discovery, right? Yes. So then Noam and I had a lot of debate on this. So what is the correct answer for it? So then Noam suggested basically, well, let's approach it. He didn't say in an engineer way, but let's approach it like this, right? So we created a matrix where you would basically score on 4 different categories, and I don't know by heart, but it's
dimensions. We say
4 dimensions, right? So prospecting cycle. So how long does it take you from first attempt to actually getting to a discovery, right? Then number two, what is your funnel velocity after you get a client engaged? So for those of you who don't know, funnel velocity in the most simplest terms would be how fast do prospects move through different stages of your funnel. Then three, size of the ticket, and then complexity of the product. So we took these 4 dimensions, you add a very simple score to whatever you're selling, and then we added like, if score is between this and this, consider separating. If it's between this and this, just do it in one call. It's fine. Or if it's between this and this, you have to do multiple discoveries before you even think of doing it.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
It's scoring. It's again, it's a scoring system. So there's a lot of, how do you say, flexibility with this because it's a scoring system. But the purpose is helping you could say, the person, the individual. And again, we can find senior B2B sales guys with a heavy account files, doing heavy account management, still need to do discovery every few years because they're now selling the new product or whatever to the same customer, different maybe departments. I think that by using this matrix, it helps a lot of, kind of planning your sales, your sales approach, your winning strategy. Not coming up with, okay, well, let's meet with the guys, let's tell them about the product, and then let's say, let's ask different people what they think if they need any.
And send 1 million follow-ups. Are you gonna buy? Are you gonna buy? Are you gonna buy? Are you
Did
gonna
you have
buy?
the chance? Did you have the
Did
chance?
You just a chance to look at all of the reasons?
Specifically discussing this, because it seems like you're both Sandler fans. So what's your take on the upfront contract done in discovery calls?
Yeah, I use it.
It's an inherited part of a discovery call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, it is a very good mechanic to set expectations immediately. Right off the bat. And it has actually, Sandler did come up with it, but it's been confirmed in research and science after. And I can tell you, there's a phenomenal book, although it came out in 1999, but the research is still ongoing. The book is called First Break All the Rules. I don't know if you guys have read it. So this is a giant Gallup's discovery why a manager is a good manager, why employee is an engaged employee. They came up with if you answer these 12 questions with a yes, then the employee is fully engaged. First one, do I know what is expected of me at work?
Okay, I've seen these questions as well.
So Sandler contract was and is still very much validated all across different industries, not just sales.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so like a more technical question would be, what would be your, simplest or most patented ways to then reverse questions, right? Because this is where I feel probably 80-90% of the salespeople will fall. They'll have a half interested question, and they'll be like, it's time. Now I'll tell them.
Time to spend that commission.
I was born in 1989 and blah, blah, blah. Our company, blah, and all this bullshit, right? So what would be the ways to keep qualifying the questions of the prospect, and how do you generally go about it?
I don't know.
You flip it.
You flip it.
You go for disqualifying.
Maybe Mario just said it. I'm looking for the no. Okay, let's understand first of all this notion. And it took me years to get there. Let's say that I'm in a business that 1 to 7 is a sale. Okay, let's say that the average industry is 1 to 7, just for the sake of the one close per 7 leads. Okay, so I'm picking up the phone and I'm looking for the no as quickly as possible. So I can move on to the next no. So I can move on to the next no until I get to the seventh, and the seven is a yes. I know it's a silly notion, but it's a very...
this is based on the book Go for No as well. I've read it. It's a great book, you know, like it's makes perfect sense.
And your call calling series of posts on LinkedIn where
absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, how you flip it, I'm looking for the no, so I'm flipping it. No, you know, like
but
without even being too polite.
But let's say someone says, you know, like, okay, look, but how is it that you can help me? Then you'd be like, well, I'm not sure I can help you, actually. And then you just ask another question, or like, I'm literally thinking about very specific ways.
Well, first of all, I think I'm a big fan of I'm still not sure I can help you. I'm still not there yet with the full understanding I can help you. With your permission, and that will be a very polite way, and that's definitely not me. But for the sake of this podcast, we need all to be looking distinguished and high-level conversation.
Noam tends to be very, very direct.
Yes. It's so I would say I'm still not there with the understanding of I can fully help you. It's not about being modest. It's about being fucking modest, because you really don't, if you're not sure, be sure. But if you're already sure from the beginning of the conversation, and that goes a long way, a lot of people know that they can help a lot of people, understand that the discovery call plays a strong role with having the other side understanding that they can help. So they could say, yeah, to be honest, I think you can help me. So, you know, explain why. So flip it. Flip it. Don't be shy. What can happen? You already got the no. So why be stressed about it?
And let's maybe do a full 360. We began with the fear, right? Fear of asking questions. Well, one of the things is pressure from management, pressure for higher-ups, get a close. And then in that pressure, we forget. We succumb to it. We rush things, even the best of us. So even if the best of us rush through things, and we sometimes forget, what chance do the people who are not so well trained, so well experienced have? Right? And this is one of the reasons why Noam and I set out to write a book on discovery. And the name of the book is called Still Underrated, because discovery call is still underrated.
You know, Mario, when we wrote the book, I think we mentioned that several times. I think it's a good time to mention this. Whoever practiced martial arts in one stage of the other of their life, I don't know, judo, Krav Maga, karate, whatever. And I'm going for this because a lot of people did try that, even just taking a few lessons. The first thing you understand is that you wait for either the punch or the arm or your opponent's organ, whatever, to come very close at you before you make a move. So you need to be patient while you're being punched before you make an action and move that punch. I think that's the best, because by the way, if you do this, if you move early on, then you know the opponent can literally track you, and then you lose. And I'm using this not because I think the customer is an opponent, but I think it's kind of a dance. And to begin with, the customers sometimes feel a little bit hostile. You cold call, you interfere with my day, you're asking questions, uncomfortable questions. So there's a lot of, if you practice martial arts, if you take this from martial arts into sales, get comfortable with being punched, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, get comfortable in this environment when you wait and wait and wait, hold, and take the action and flip it or ask a question or shout at your customer, whatever your style is, until the very end. If you do this, more and more you get comfortable with not rushing, even if your management is bouncing on the head, what's with the close and how many calls you make, blah, 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 and so on, which is, as Mario said, the biggest obstacle to make proper discovery calls.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Awesome.
Well, I guess we could wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah.
we've overwhelmed Julio with.
Good. This is like I'm learning a lot here, so it's great.
All right, so maybe at the end, what we usually do is we kind of have like end statements or end remarks.
Yeah.
And then every guest of ours gets to do a little bit of promo, so you can promote whatever you like. So, Julio, let's maybe begin with you. The like kind of end notes on the discovery call on this topic.
I think, it's more of a shout out to the people that either don't believe this is an important part of the process. And there's all types of crap running into sales circles. Like it's all about cold calling. It's all about closing. We go from Grant Cardone. It's all about closing to, like to the other end of the spectrum entirely. And this is essentially the reflection of the overall sales process, because it's the part where you're actually figuring out whether this is the right customer for you. So yeah, I think it's whether you're comfortable with it or not, it's something that you should be getting comfortable with. And I think an engineering approach is definitely one of the simplest way for the people that are maybe not as naturally talented with sales.
Yeah. Well, for me, the biggest learnings, especially in my career, was because I've studied all sorts of methodologies and like Sandler and like all of them, just trying to be a better. Well, for me, being a salesperson, actually serving the customer, so I wanted to be better at serving the customer, right? And then actually, when I met Noam, that clicked is just go for the disqualification. Try to find all of the reasons why we are not a fit. And then I know this is a little bit of it's now I just approach it every time like this, but in the beginning it could be scary to go down this route simply because what if he says no? Well, he would have said no anyway. It would have just been 2 months later.
Sure.
Noam?
Yeah,
maybe
for me,
and thought.
Yeah. For me, first of all, promotion. I'm selling my car, and you can buy it. Oh, no, just kidding. What
kind of car?
It's anyway a stolen one, so don't worry. I'm gonna build, guys, on what you guys just said. Okay, so and it's coming back to maybe my first comments is that mistakes you make along the way are you originally created by your first mistake, and being uncomfortable, you could say, confronting with the customer. And a discovery call is a confrontation, confronting with the customer, ensuring that you can actually help, is something that if you avoid it, you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. So you want to sell more, you want to have a higher closing ratio. Do your discovery calls, or meaning do it properly. Be a master of it, and you will find amazingly that sometimes closing are even, I would even dare to say, Mario, correct me if I'm wrong, being like done automatically. It's like a walk in the park. You actually don't close. It's being closed by itself. So the more you discover, the more you discover, the more you do this, the better your close are. So that will be maybe my final comment on the topic.
All right. Well, let's do a 30-second promo and we can wrap it up. It's on you, Noam.
On me? Well,
you're
guys,
the guest, man. You're the
I'm
guest.
the guest. Well. To be honest, honest to God, nothing to promote. Here is me disqualifying, guys. I don't want to be approached by no one. Don't call me. Okay, I'm not the nice guy anyway. But no, honest to God, I think that if I'm taking a look at 100% of my customers today are not doing proper discovery calls. 100%, not 99, 100%. So that means that whoever, and I'm talking about big multinationals, the names are on my LinkedIn, so you can see that they're not making proper discovery calls. And this is why, because salespeople, we hate this. and we don't feel uncomfortable. We want to feel comfortable. We want to make close. We're running fast. So buy the book, practice what the book says. If something is not clear, you know, you can literally text us in LinkedIn. We will answer, and we will make sure that you understand. But make sure you make a proper discovery call, meaning you'll sell more, guaranteed. Yeah. How was that for a promotion?
It was awesome, man.
Awesome, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us, Noam. Thank you very much for being,
guys. Thank you for hosting me.
Being a guest, and until the next time.
Yes.
Happy selling, everyone. Bye.
Happy selling.